Gus Stevens Supper Club was located on U.S. Highway 90 on the coast in Biloxi, Mississippi. It was a popular nightclub. Performers included Andy Griffith, Rudy Valley, Jerry Lee Lewis, Mel Torme. The club itself closed in 1975, reopened as a Mexican restaurant. That closed in 1985. The place was demolished in 2000. Jayne had performed at Gus Stevens Supper Club in the past, so it was a familiar venue. Here's a photograph of Gus Stevens with Jayne Mansfield. While staying in Biloxi, she, Sam, and the children stayed at the Edgewater Gulf Hotel, now called the Cabana Courtyard Apartments. On the night of June 28, 1967, Jayne performed 2 shows. This photograph may have come from one of those shows. Or not. Contrary to what a lot of people think, the Buick did not belong to Jayne. Jayne, Sam, and the kids needed to get to New Orleans for a television appearance the next day. Their own transportation fell through, and because Jayne was contractually obligated to return to the supper club for more shows, Gus Stevens loaned them his wife's car. His daughter's boyfriend, Ronnie Harrison, drove the car. Elaine Stevens, Gus's daughter, spoke to me at length about that evening. The link will be provided at the end of this video. So at the most, Jayne was in this car for 90 minutes. The 1966 Buick was purchased by Gus Stevens on January 19, 1967 for a total of $5,840.74 from Gulf Coast Buick in Biloxi. After the show, Jayne and Sam enjoyed cocktails, and they were paid for their performance in $1,250 cash. Right about the same time, Ronnie Harrison picked up the children and a crate full of dogs and plenty of luggage from the Edgewater Gulf Hotel and returned to the supper club. The entire group left at 12:45 a.m. Ronnie was behind the wheel, the 3 sleeping children in the front. Jayne and Sam were in the back seat when they departed for New Orleans. About 45 minutes into the journey, they stopped at a service station. During this brief stop, something very important happened. There was a change in the seating arrangement. Brody and Jayne got out of the car, took the children from the front seat and put them in the back seat, and they themselves sat in front. The service station attendant claims that when the car left the driveway, Harrison was behind the wheel, Jayne was in the center seat, and Sam was in the passenger seat. Now, it's said that the group stopped at the White Kitchen restaurant, which would explain how Jayne and Sam switched locations in the car. However, no one in the restaurant, staff or guests, could remember seeing the car or Jayne. That would have been difficult to miss. So here we are on the 190, or actually on the 90, just east of the 190 intersection. This is the location where the White Kitchen restaurant was, where Jayne supposedly had her last stop. So you can see the foundation is all still here, some sort of transformers or something over there. But the foundation is still here, so I think that this was probably the entranceway, and this would have been the main part of the diner, I'm thinking. I'm guessing. This could be the counter area. I'm just completely guessing here. So as you can see, you can go back and you see some of the floor over here is still here. Now, as best I can figure, according to other people, that the ladies' room and the men's rooms are back here. And Jayne had a pee-pee break here, and the pink tiles are still left. It makes sense that this would be it. And next to it, maybe those orange tiles were the men's room. I don't know, it's hard to say because we couldn't find any places for plumbing. Possibly that. In the men's area, we're guessing this is the men's area. You can see where there may have been urinals here. But then it goes back quite a ways. You can see it continues to go way back. Because there's foundation and tiles all over this place. So we found a little bit of some kind of insulator or something like that. Here's a piece of charred wood, but I think I'm going to leave the charred wood behind. But that looks like it may belong to something here. So the last report of Jayne alive was in this place. So she had her little pee-pee break, and supposedly somebody asked her on her way out, "Aren't you Jayne Mansfield?" And she said, "The one and only." Tap, 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 and out she went. And she drove off in that direction. She had about another 5 minutes of life in front of her. So the interchange of the 190 and the 190 and the 90 are just up there. You can see this was some sort of maybe a power pole or something like that right here. But that's what I was going to point out, is this this light fixture thingy out here that has no purpose to be here. There's nothing to light up except when the diner was here. And there's a light pole in there too. All right, so the location of the white kitchen. And I'm going to turn around. So the Buick was heading in this direction, heading back to New Orleans. Now, so this is the very route that they took. And had only minutes to live. What lends the most legitimacy to the story they stopped at the White Kitchen is that the seating arrangement had changed. Remember, when they left the Texaco station, Ronnie was behind the wheel, Jayne was in the middle seat, and Sam was at the passenger side. Well, when the accident occurred, Sam was in the center and Jayne was in the passenger side. Pinpointing the exact location of the crash isn't as easy as it sounds. For several years, there was a marker at a location on this road several miles past the location of the accident, so that was confusing enough. Then we used GPS coordinates and we used other people's accounts of how to get there. The landscape has changed considerably since Hurricane Katrina. Most of the houses from the shorefront are gone. Even the road has been pretty much replaced. So in just a moment, you're going to see inserted in a window the footage that the police took when they were investigating the crash scene. And as they're approaching the scene, you'll see the oil spilled in the road from the accident, from the engine of the Buick. And that, to the best of our knowledge, is where the accident occurred. Ronnie was traveling at a high speed. After passing one car, that driver noted that the Buick went by like a, quote, streak of lightning. It's estimated the Buick was traveling around 60 to 80 miles per hour. In front of them was a truck from the Johnson Motor Freight Company on its way to New Orleans. The driver was Richard Rambo. In the front of Rambo was another truck, this one traveling towards him, that was used to spray fog insecticide to control mosquitoes. Now this is important, very important. The truck was not spraying insecticide at the time. There was no fog, no spray. The weather was clear and dry. The visibility was perfect. However, the fogging vehicle coming towards him had a red flashing light on the top of it. Rambo, the driver of the Johnson Motor Freight Company truck, observed the flashing light on the truck coming toward him and let up on the accelerator. He did not apply his brakes, but he downshifted. It's estimated that the Johnson truck was traveling around 35 miles per hour or less. Ronnie Harrison failed to see the slow-moving truck in front of them. He never touched the brakes. There was no swerve, no evasive action, no skid. The Buick slammed into the back of the truck straight on at full speed, killing Harrison, Brody, and Mansfield immediately. The clock in the car and a watch on one of the victims' wrists was broken, stopped at the same time, 2:25 a.m. Now, Richard Rambo, in the cab, felt something slam into the back of his truck. He slowed to a stop, got out, and ran to the rear of the truck and found the wreck, which was now several yards behind him. There was only silence and the sound of a child crying. He ran to the car and first found the young girl, 3-year-old Mariska, whose head was jammed between the door and the back seat. He removed her and placed her on the side of the road. He returned to the car and got both boys, Mickey and Zoltan, out. He then dragged the clearly dead Jayne out of the car and placed her on the side of the road. Attempting to rescue Sam and Ronnie, it was clear they were both crushed into the dashboard. The children were taken by a passing motorist to Charity Hospital in New Orleans. Mickey had a broken arm and a leg. Mariska and Zoltan escaped with bruises and lacerations. Back to the car, Ronnie and Sam were killed by the force of the stop, crushed against the dashboard. Jayne from the impact with the rear left corner of the truck. Now, the rumor about her decapitation, and it may come as a surprise to you, Jayne often wore wigs. The truth is, only the upper portion of her head was severed. Portions of skull and brain matter were found in the road and on the rear of the truck. A widely circulated photograph of Jayne's wig on the hood of the car led reporters to go with the severed head story. The same with the rumor of the truck spraying insecticide at the time of the accident, obscuring their vision. Putting that rumor to rest, Major Edward M. Ruther, the supervisor of the New Orleans Police Department, released this statement. If there had been a fogging machine on the highway, there would have been someone flagging traffic before and after the operation, and these people would not have been killed. I would like to state that the newspaper account of these words are completely out of context, in particular, the newspaper version of these words in which they quote me, because my personal opinion is that the fogging machine had nothing to do with this accident. Jayne's body made it to the Bultmann Mortuary on St. Charles Avenue in New Orleans. The building still stands and is now a grocery store. Mortician Jim Roberts said that the damage to Jayne's body was bad, but, quote, her head was attached as much as mine is. He also mentioned that Jayne traveled with a lot of makeup and he used all of it. The total charges for embalming, dressing, casket, and shipping came to $2,883.97. That includes the $99.50 it cost for her remains to be sent via Delta Airlines to Pen Argyl, Pennsylvania for funeral and burial. She was buried in Fairview Cemetery on July 3rd. The Buick Electra was put in storage for several years while the lawsuits flew. Johnson Freight Lines was sued, the truck driver, Richard Rambo, their insurer, the city of New Orleans, the parents of Ronnie Harrison, Gus Stevens, the Supper Club, their insurers, The car was in storage until the lawsuits were settled. Gus Stevens sold the car under the condition that it not be put on display within 50 miles of Biloxi. The keys were put in this envelope signed by Gus. The car has had several owners since then. For several years, it was on display in the U.S. Tragedy Museum in Florida. After the owner passed away, the car changed hands several times, and ultimately, we got it. It was on display for a few years in the dearly departed Tours Artifact Museum in Hollywood. After COVID hit, the museum shut, the tour closed down permanently, and the car is now in storage until... I want to thank you very much for watching my videos and subscribing to the videos, and please feel free to leave a comment below. Thank you so much for supporting the page via the Patreon link below. Thank you for your time, thank you for your attention, and until next time. You heard me.
Obsolete rules that we had to live with and worked under certain circumstances, but not under mass circumstances. They were there for a long time, they were in place for a long time, and we're breaking them down now. And they're very usable for certain instances, but not for this. To unleash the full power of the federal government in December today, I am officially declaring a national emergency. Two very big words. The action I am taking will open up access to up to $50 billion of very important and a large amount of money.
What happened? I just lost the signal.